Hey guys, Kevin here from Huntsman Gaming. Today we're going to be taking a look at another Team Fortress 2 loadout video. Now what we're going to be discussing is the Huntsman, the Darwin's Danger Shield, and the Tribalman Shiv for the sniper. Now this loadout was recommended by Master Cheese Can Reach, so I appreciate you guys submitting those loadouts for me to play. Now, if you're not familiar with how this series works, basically, you guys can submit a loadout in the comments down below the video. You put any 3 weapons for a class, and then you take and put the phrase #loadout so that I can search through those comments and find any loadouts quickly. And then you have a chance of me actually featuring that loadout in a video. So now I hope that you guys see this as an accurate depiction of the Huntsman. I am playing on a map called De Groot Keep, one of my favorite maps, especially playing Sniper Huntsman. I have an entire video actually describing the map and some of the strategies I use when I play it. So I hope that you guys are okay with that, and basically that I didn't actually make a video with actual people having actual guns, because on the De Groot Keep map everything is melee, so that definitely changes the dynamic of the game. So if you guys want me to create one where I actually have I'm fighting people with actual guns that can blow you up and kill the snipers very quickly, it'll be a little bit more challenging, but let me know and I can see what I can do. But I figured that I should definitely give this class a run on De Groot Keep, and it definitely worked out very nicely. So let's start talking about some of the weapons, some of the pros and cons of these items. You'll see that the primary weapon, probably the thing that I use the most in this video, is going to be the Huntsman. Now the Huntsman is basically a bow and arrow for the sniper. It's a very reliable weapon. You can get off shots really quickly. If you hit them in the head, it really doesn't matter too much how far back you pull your arrow. You're pretty much going to kill them instantly. So a lot of people like to call the Huntsman the Luxman, and they call it that because a lot of times people will just kind of spam arrows in hopes of actually getting kills. There's some truth to this, but there's also probably some of that's a lie, because if you take a look at this video, I tried very carefully to pick my shots and shoot for specific enemies and in specific parts of their body, obviously mainly the head. So you'll see that there's a lot of skill shots, particularly in this video, but I mean there are some times when you just need to fire some arrows into a random group. You can't tell me that when you're a pyro or when you're a heavy or a demo that you don't just randomly spam some of your shots into areas where there's a lot of enemies. Let's be real, that's kind of how you can get some kills pretty quickly. So to associate that with the Huntsman right away wouldn't be quite fair. So as far as the Huntsman, what I recommend is definitely leading your shots, especially on faster enemies like scouts, and maybe even some enemies like snipers or things like that. You want to lead your shots a little bit because they'll be running, so you kind of have to figure in the time of when they're going to get there based on where you're actually aiming. So you kind of lead your shots a little bit, kind of aim for the head, and if you can get closer to your enemy without them killing you, the better, because when you're using the Huntsman, the closer up you are, obviously the less room for error you have. Or a little bit more room you have for error, because you're going to have a bigger target in front of you. So the other thing is what I like to call the headshot zone. I don't really know, it doesn't have a technical term, but I realized when I started playing Counter-Strike that if you leave your aimer on the screen at a certain height, you start to do a lot better at first-person shooters, and that's what I like to call the headshot zone. So when you're playing sniper, if you can get into a flat zone where you're flat against another enemy and you can keep your aimer at that specific head height, you're going to do a lot better because you're going to hit them in the head a lot more often. So that's kind of one of those things I'd recommend, just playing and trying to figure out where exactly enemies' heads kind of line up in the horizontal plane. That's one of the things that I try to do when playing sniper, and just really any class in general, but especially sniper in Team Fortress. So as we move along, the Darwin's Danger Shield, you don't really see me using that at all because it's kind of more of a passive weapon in this sense. That does take up my middle slot for my sniper. Now what that does is it gives you an extra 25 basically hit points on your sniper. So seeing as the sniper is already pretty fragile, that would leave him at 125 without the Darwin's Danger Shield. he's a fragile character, and I'm not a big fan of the fragile characters. I mentioned in my last loadout video where I reviewed a scout loadout that the scout frustrates me because he dies so easy. In most cases, especially with the Huntsman sniper, we're usually up close in the battle. If you're not playing to group keep and you're in kind of a situation where there's people lobbing demo bombs and all kinds of stuff, you're going to die pretty quick. So this Darwin's Danger Shield is definitely really helpful when you're playing the sniper, just to get that upper hand and collect some extra health. So, as we go along here, you'll see that I have some pretty good gameplay. At one point, I'm not sure if we've passed it yet, but there's a point where I actually dominated, I think, their entire team. So you can get pretty good with the Huntsman. I've noticed that the more you play it, obviously this makes sense, but the more you play it, the better you're going to get with it. And it usually takes you a little bit, even if you're decent with it already, to kind of get in a rhythm with the Huntsman. So if you're having some trouble with it, just give it a little bit more time, and you'll start to actually get to where you can pull off some pretty amazing shots on a regular basis. So, the last weapon that I wanted to go over is the Tribalman Shiv. That is the melee weapon that I'm using. It looks pretty mean. It's got some nice serrated edges on the back there. Basically what this allows you to do is cause bleed damage to your enemies. So when you hit someone with it, they're going to bleed for a set period of time. So, regardless of that, this weapon seems to be able to put out a decent amount of damage. Regardless, it does have random crits enabled, so you can just run up to someone swinging, and you have a decent chance of killing them without even needing the bleed effect. But with something like the Huntsman sniper, having that bleed effect is nice because you can just go in, whack someone, and then just run away. You don't have to really finish the battle because you only kind of get a couple of shots with the Huntsman before you're in the death zone of them killing you. So just running up there with your Shiv, hitting them, they kind of panic a little bit because they have they're bleeding, they're taking damage on a decent at a decent rate. So you can kind of get out of there and use that to your advantage. So that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys try out the Huntsman, the Darwin's Danger Shield, and the Tribalman Shiv. If you're not familiar with how these videos work, if you leave a comment down below, you have a chance to win one of the weapons that I discussed in this video. So any comment that you want, if you want to leave a loadout in the comments, then I might select it in a future video. So thanks for watching. I do have a new video coming out every week, so make sure and subscribe, rate, and comment. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.